Hello and welcome to Box and Ballers. I'm Ben, and today we're joined by Ryan Baldi, who is a football writer for Football Whispers. Ryan, loads of transfer rumours on this show right now. We're going to rumour rate a lot of them. We're going to go for three today. We're going to chat Bernardo, Silva, Lacazette, and also Fabinho. I suppose we'll start with Fabinho because that was one of the biggest breaking stories this morning. Apparently City are close to signing him. The Monaco, should we say midfielder or shall we say right back?
Well, apparently he prefers to play at right back, and my personal feeling on it is that is probably where he will feature for Guardiola for several reasons, which I'm sure we'll dive into. But the fact that he has spent a whole season in midfield now only makes him even more perfect to be a right back in Guardiola's system. So from that point of view, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so we sort of have quite a few different people chatting about this and respected journalists as well. For you guys at Football Whispers to jump on this, obviously there's got to be some sort of credibility to it. So how likely do you think it is that Fabinho will be heading from France to City?
I think it's very likely he'll be leaving Monaco. He signed a new contract at the beginning of the season, but there was a general feeling that he stayed last summer on the proviso of being allowed to leave this summer. And I think his father did mention in the press maybe a few months ago now that City would be his preferred option. So it's starting to line up in a lot of ways, and the rumours are making a ton of sense. And yeah, like I said, in terms of tactically, he's everything Guardiola would want in a fullback. So for me, it makes perfect sense, and I'd actually really look forward to seeing him play for City if it did come off.
Tell us why. Why is he the perfect Guardiola signing this summer?
Well, as we've seen, City's struggles with fullbacks this season have been pretty well documented. They just don't have the right kind of profile of the four fullbacks they've got at the moment. And we saw at the beginning of the season, Guardiola tried to play with the inverted fullbacks that he was using at Bayern Munich, whereby the defenders would move into a central midfield position when City had the ball. But he kind of abandoned that after a while and went for a more conventional approach. He's been playing 4-1-4-1 for most of the season. But Fabinho, with his experience of playing in midfield, his athleticism, his positional understanding, his technical qualities, he ticks all of the boxes for a Guardiola defender. So for me, I see him being a lot like how David Alaba and Dani Alves have played for Guardiola in the past, whereby their starting position, yes, is at right back, but when City get on the ball and it starts to progress up the field as as they move towards the other end of the pitch, like Alaba and Alves would, they'll take a position in more of kind of a central attacking midfield role. This kind of inverted wing back role that Pep has kind of pioneered. Works so well with Alves. Alaba was brilliant there for the last few seasons, and Fabinho's got all the tools to do that. He's great defensively. We saw him last season at right back, and he was outstanding. I think my thoughts have always been that as good as he is in central midfield, he has the potential to be a very good central midfielder, whereby he has the potential to be perhaps the best right back in the world. So I think to move back to right back for him, especially in a team such as Man City, where the fullbacks are going to have such a key role to play within the team, I think it's just perfect for everybody involved.
Yeah, and he looks like he could take the physicality of the Premier League as well. He's big, he's tall, he's strong.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's athletic. He's really fit. We saw last season at Monaco when he was playing right back. He was up and down the flank all game long, and he's not afraid to get on the ball. He's not afraid to play a pass. He takes responsibility for not just his defensive side of the game, but for his team's attacking as well, which is something that Alves did so well at Barcelona. He would play on average over 70 passes a game, which is typically what you'd expect of a central midfielder, somebody who's on the ball all the time and making things happen. And I imagine that's what he's going to be doing with City too.
So what would you rate this one then on the rumour rater? Out of 10, what would you give it? Likely, not likely?
I'd say it's very likely. I'd say probably around an 8.
Oh, nice. 8 out of 10 for the first transfer rumour. Let's move on. Let's stick with a Manchester club, shall we? And Bernardo Silva. This sort of came out earlier on today as well. People saying that the Monaco winger, should we say, or attacking player, very, very close to a move to United. A fee is close to being agreed. That's sort of the headlines at the moment. Where did you sort of first pick this story up?
I believe it was just prior to Monaco's last game where they sealed the title in midweek. There were some quotes before the game from Silva. I think he gave an interview to the Portuguese media saying that he has ambitions to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, on the biggest stage. And then after the game, it came out from Canal Plus, the big TV station in France, that he's been in contact with United, and I believe this morning that's gone one step further to say that the negotiations are quite advanced at this point. Obviously, it's silly season when it comes to United transfer rumours. You know that summer's here, as clear as day when Gareth Bale to United starts getting troped around the internet. That's already happened, so we know summer's on its way. James Rodriguez has been another one. There'll be plenty of players in the same sort of position, linked with United, similar kind of profile. But for me, Silva is the best fit of all of them. I wrote a piece about this on Football Whispers last week, sort of describing why exactly it is that Silva is a better fit for United than the likes of James or even Bale, because he just works so hard. He's brilliant on the ball. He's technically outstanding, creative player, most assists in League One. Scores plenty of goals too, but his work rate is tremendous. He presses, he harries, he tracks back, which is, as we know, everything Mourinho wants from his wingers. And I said in my article, it's everything that Mourinho would love Juan Mata to be. He's got that little extra bit of pace, that little extra bit of athleticism, and he's, as we said, he's positionally sound and not afraid to put in the work, as well as having all the technical qualities on the ball. So in terms of how he lines up with United, he's perfect. Whether they want to play 4-2-3-1, he can play as a number 10. He can play on the right and cut in from the left. He can play on the right for 4-3-3, or he can even allow Mourinho to experiment with 4-4-2 if he wants to, because we've seen with Monaco this season that he has the defensive capabilities to be able to play on the right of midfield in a 4-4-2, which many of the modern wingers don't.
Yeah, would you say Canal Plus is a respectable source? Would you say those guys, or do you think they're one of these like we see in Spain, some of these outlets which are local to the country and close to certain clubs? They're known for putting out, little feelings towards the bigger clubs and transfers. Like we've seen the James Rodriguez as well, which from Madrid is looking like it isn't all it's meant to be. They put out these little statements that Manchester United are interested because they know United have the biggest money. They throw a transfer fee out. Someone like Arsenal or Liverpool could come along and get 5 million close to it, and actually there's the realisation of a transfer there where there isn't with United. Would you say this is definitely a transfer that could be on?
To be honest, I think my take on it would be that Canal Plus, as a TV station, as a broadcaster, transfer speculation isn't what they base their business on. So if they're going to take a dalliance into that side of thing, I think they'd want to be fairly sure of it. Yeah. Whereas some of the outlets you've mentioned that we see in Europe, for example, in France, there's a publication called Le 10 Foot, Don Ballon in Spain. Transfer Rumours is how they sell their publication, how they get hits on their websites. They'll throw the rumours out there, whether there's substance to them or not sometimes. But with Canal Plus, you think if they're putting their name behind it, maybe there's something to it. So
if the 10 Foot put it out, be worried. If Canal Plus put it out, then be quite confident. Look, I like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what you said about Bernardo Silva, he's got all the attributes there, which you were saying in a player that Mourinho likes. He likes someone who attackingly is creative and can find a pass, can score goals, can get out wide, can play a ball in, and he also likes a winger who can also track back. Do you think that is the player that Mourinho is looking for, an out-and-out winger, more than Bernardo Silva, the number 10?
Well, from what we're seeing in the rumours, it seems as though Mourinho is looking for a player in that position. Like I said, there are going to be so many stories going back and forth about who United are linked with this season
as well, because of how they played.
Exactly, yeah, they're linked with everybody. And a lot of the rumours that you'll hear linking people's names to United are there's nothing to them, or it's from the player's end, an agent trying to drum up interest. But the fact that there's a general correlation between the type of player that's being mentioned, the fact that it's James, the fact that it's been Bale, the fact that it's now Silva, suggests that he's looking for a player who can play on the right and also play centrally. And of the options that have been mentioned so far in the press, especially with Bale's injury record this season, I think he's only made 19 appearances in La Liga. Obviously, he's a high-quality player, but at 28 now, the injuries aren't going to get any better for him. James Rodriguez, again, technically a superb player, but for me, Silva has all of the technical and creative qualities, as well as having the defensive side of the game that Mourinho really, really prizes. That's why I love Williams so much. Williams is another one who's been linked as a player of a similar profile, players on the right, can also play as a number 10, played as a number 10 for Shakhtar. And it was his defensive work rate, his pressing from the front that endeared him to Mourinho so much when they worked together at Chelsea. So in terms of ticking all the boxes, Silva certainly does that.
He ticks all the boxes, but how likely is the transfer out of 10? What are you rating this rumour?
I wouldn't say it's quite as strong as Fabinho at this point. I'd probably put it somewhere along the lines of a 7, I'd say.
A 7 with space to grow, Ryan, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Right, let's see what happens to that one. Let's move out of Manchester. Let's move out of England and let's go to Spain. You never know with Brexit, we might not be able to do that in the future. But right now we will. Lacazette, he's been linked from a move from France, and we're keeping with France, to Spain. To me, this probably seems like the likely transfer of them all. It just seems a perfect match, Lacazette to Atletico, if Griezmann's to go, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's been on the cards that Lacazette's going to leave this season. There was a lot of talk of him even coming to the Premier League last summer, linked with Arsenal, linked with West Ham. From everything we read and from the quotes that have come from Jean-Michel Aulas, the Lyon president, nobody matched their valuation of him last summer. Lacazette's always said that Champions League football is a big thing for him. So any prospective buyer will be wanting to be able to offer him that. With Arsenal today finishing outside the top 5, that maybe takes them outside the top 4 rather.
Ryan, can I quickly say why Arsenal didn't go for him last summer is absolutely beyond me. He just looks like an Arsenal player to me, in terms of as a striker that Wenger would go for. But now they just won't put forward that money, will they? Where
that's the thing. Yeah, apparently they weren't willing to stump up the cash. I mean, Arsenal's problems have been they've needed a top quality number 9 for a long time now, and they've scrimped on the position for so long that they've never really been able to improve on the options they've got. Giroud is a good player, but is he the man to take you to the next level? Is he the man to lead you on a title push? Probably not. But yeah, back to Lacazette. The Atletico rumours, they started back in, I think, March. I wrote a piece on Football Whispers looking at how his arrival doesn't necessarily signal the exit of Antoine Griezmann, who's been linked with United so strongly. It could, if anything, go to prove to Griezmann that Atletico is serious about improving this team and making a title challenge, because he has been quoted recently as saying that he's happy at Atleti, but he wants to be able to win things, and that's not really been the case since he's been at Atletico. They've been contenders, they've been to the Champions League final, but they haven't been quite able to get over the line in terms of getting medals in the bag. So it's a bit of a signal of intent to bring Lacazette in at this point and team them up, because they're both Frenchmen. They're both of a similar age. They've played together in the youth ranks for France for several years. They'll have an understanding together. And on paper, with Lacazette as the number 9 playing off his shoulder, Griezmann playing as a second striker, dropping off and creating for him, they've got everything.
I was going to say, they've got a real striker problem as well, Atletico, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're looking to bring in another striker alongside Griezmann. Do you think that even if Griezmann does stay then, they will still go for Lacazette? Or do you think it's not as clear-cut as what some reports are making out, whereas Lacazette is going to replace Griezmann?
Yeah, I think it could go either way. In terms of being a replacement for Griezmann, Lacazette wouldn't really be that on the field, because they're quite different players. Like I said, in many ways, they're the perfect partnership, because you've got the one player who likes to drop off and drop just behind the striker into the hole and create and link with the midfield in Griezmann. And then you've got Lacazette who can do that, to be fair to him, but he's best when he's within shooting range of goal. He's got a tremendous shots to goal ratio, somewhere in the region of 3.5, which is just staggering. I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic has got like a 6.5, Diego Costa's like a 4.5. So it's up there with the very best strikers in the world. Just the amount of shots he takes for every goal that he scores, he's really efficient in that respect. So you want to get the ball to him within sight of the goal, and Griezmann's a perfect man to do that. But the one area in which he could replace Griezmann is in terms of name value, in terms of kind of softening the blow if Griezmann does go, if he leaves for United, or even worse from an Atletico point of view, if he leaves for Real Madrid. They've got a big name striker in the bag who can come and take the burden. He's got big broad shoulders. He's not afraid of being the man. He's been the man for Lyon for a while now. So it's not necessarily going to tell us anything about Griezmann's future, because it could be read either way. But yeah, there's options there for Atletico, whether they want to play them together. It could be great, or if Griezmann does go, like I said, it softens the blow.
Now, how would this work with the transfer ban in place? Because they are still banned from making transfers, right? So how would that sort of work if they were to somehow bring him in the summer? Would it have to bring him in the summer? Yeah, would they have to get pre-contract signing, not bringing him till January, or could they bring him in on loan? And do you know what would be the whole situation regarding that?
As far as I'm aware, it's the whole deal is dependent on Atletico's case being heard by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Real Madrid had the same issue, the same ban for the same reasons, pretty much, and CAS overturned theirs or reduced it to the one window, I think it was, and they're going to be free to sign players in the summer. Atletico's, I'm not sure exactly when their case is due to be heard, but I think it's pretty soon. So a lot will rest on the outcome of that. I think if their ban is upheld, then the deal won't happen. Lacazette will stay at Lyon or more likely go somewhere else. But you've got to think that Atletico must be pretty confident of getting it overturned if they're going so far down the line to sign a marquee player like Lacazette.
Yeah, and opening talks as well, because this rumour wouldn't have just come out of nowhere. It's actually really a lot of highly rated people were chatting about it. Ryan, what do you think then on the rumour rater out of 10?
This one's got to be a 9, I think.
Yeah, the most likely to happen. There we go. Perfect. Ryan, thank you so much for jumping on. Go and check out Football Whispers and check out more of this guy's articles on why Bernardo Silva would be the perfect fit for Mourinho's men, why Lacazette could work with Griezmann, and loads on Fabinho, I'm sure, as well, on his timeline. At Ryan Baldi FW is where you can go and check him out. Thank you very much, Ryan.
No problem. Thanks, Ben.
We'll get more of these rumour raters on for you very, very soon. Subscribe to Boxing BALLRS for content on the biggest conversations in boxing and football. More videos coming for you soon.